Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this year's webinar organized by the Companies Registry for the TCSP sector. I'm glad to have this opportunity to share with you about the points to note for applicants or holders of trust or company service provider licenses. In my today's presentation, we will take a general review on the licensing regime, and I would also like to draw your attention to some of the common questions that we receive from our daily work, and we would like to share them with you. Okay, let's take a quick review on the background. Commencement of a licensing regime for trust or company service providers took effect from 1st of March 2018. Unless exempted, any person who carries on or wishes to carry on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong is required to apply for a license and satisfy a fit and proper test before they can provide trust or company services as a business in Hong Kong. Any person who carries on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong without a license commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine up to $100,000 and imprisonment up to 6 months. Part 5A of the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing Ordinance, Chapter 615, provides for the regulations of trust or company service providers, TCSPs, and was added as an amendment to the ordinance on 1st of March 2018. The Companies Registry is responsible for the administration of the licensing regime for TCSPs. The registrar has published 3 sets of useful guidelines so that the sector has a clear understanding of the licensing regime for TCSPs and the compliance of AML CTF requirements. They are Guideline on Licensing of Trust or Company Service Providers, and I will call it in my presentation the licensing guideline. Another guideline is the Guideline on Compliance of Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing Requirements for Trust or Company Service Providers, and I will call it the AML CTF guideline. And the third one is the Guideline on Imposition of Pecuniary Penalty. To get started, we should know what is a trust or company service. I'm not going to go through the definition with you, but you may refer to paragraph 2.2 of the licensing guideline for the definition. Besides, in considering whether a person is providing a trust or company service by way of business, it is relevant to take into account whether the person undertakes one or more of the activities of a TCSP, advertises or publicizes his business activity or receives referrals from other companies, aims to make a profit when he carries out the activity, and carries out the activity with reasonable or recognizable continuity. What I just mentioned here is just for your reference only. This is not an exhaustive list. Who is subject to the fit and proper test? For an applicant, that is an individual carrying on business as sole proprietor. They are the individual and each of the ultimate owner. If, for an applicant, that is a partnership, or each of the partner and each of the ultimate owner. For an applicant, that is a corporation, each director, including alternate director, and each of the ultimate owner. Who is exempted from the licensing requirement, including the fit and proper test? Accounting professionals, according to relevant audience, legal professionals, according to relevant audience, authorized institutions as defined in the banking ordinance, Chapter 155, licensed corporations as defined In the Securities and Futures Audience, Chapter 571, that operates a trust or company service business in Hong Kong, that is ancillary to the corporation's principal business, and also the person of a class or description prescribed by the Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury by regulation. Now, let's take a look on the overall licensing requirement. Before carrying on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong, you are required to apply for a TCSP license. That is according to Section 53G of the MNO. The relevant form, related form is Form TCSP1. If you are required to, if you would like to renew your license, you're required to apply for renewal of its TCSP license at least 60 days before expiry of the license. That is under the requirement of 53K of the MNO. Relevant form is TCSP2. You are required to obtain prior approval from the registrar before adding an ultimate owner or a partner or a director. This is the requirement under Sections 53S, 53T, and 53U of the MNO. Related form is TCSP3. You are required to notify the registrar of a change in particulars within 1 month, beginning on the dates on which the change takes place. This is under the requirement of Section 53W of the MNO. Related form is TCSP6. You are required to notify the registrar of cessation of trust or company service business before the intended date of cessation. This is under the requirement of Section 53X of the MNO. Related form is TCSP7. I'm going to say some more about the licensing requirement one by one. If you have decided to apply for a TCSP license, you have to submit Form TCSP1, the supplementary information sheets, and Form TCSP4, that is for individual, or TCSP5, that is for corporation, for each person who is subject to the fit and proper test, together with correct fee and supporting documents, such as a copy of the BR certificate or a copy of the Hong Kong ID card. You may submit the forms through the e-channel, in person, or by post. From here, I would like to share some key points with you if you would like to apply for a TCSP license. Although you have submitted the application for a TCSP license, please do not commence any trust or company service business unless a license is granted. Please ensure to submit a valid business registration certificate instead of a branch registration certificate. Please ensure to fill in the information of ultimate owners instead of all information of shareholders on the Form TCSP1. Some applicants may not know the definition of ultimate owner, and we would advise you to refer to paragraph 4.3 of the licensing guideline. You're required to appoint at least one compliance officer, CO, and one money laundering reporting officer, MLRO, and keep records of the appointment and responsibilities of the CO and MLRO. Also, please ensure that the CO and MLRO are normally based in Hong Kong as required under paragraph 3.5b of AML CTF guideline. In addition, you are encouraged to keep a copy of the completed application form for your internal record, since we receive inquiries from some licensees saying that they forgot the information they previously provided to us when they are going to complete the application for license renewal. In general, it would take about 2.5 months to process an application for a new TCSP license. Regarding the application for renewal of TCSP license, to make an application for renewal of a license, you are required to submit TCSP2, Form TCSP 4 or 5 for each of non-exempted person, and relevant supporting documents, such as the current valid business registration certificate. You may submit the forms to us through the e-channel, in person, or by post. Here are some points to note for your attention. If you have missed the deadline to submit your license renewal application, there is no grace period, and licensees have to apply for a new license. Licensees may apply for renewal of their licenses 3 to 4 months before their licenses are due to expire. Information filled on the Form TCSP2 should be consistent with the records previously provided to the registrar. Upon making the application for renewal of license successfully, your current license remains in force until your application is withdrawn or the current license is revoked or suspended, until it is renewed, or if it is not renewed, until the decision not to renew takes effect. A TCSP license is usually valid for 3 years, and the validity period is stated on the license. If you wish to continue to carry on your trust or company service business upon the expiry of your license, you must make an application for renewal of license at least 60 days before the license is due to expire. Unless the applications for renewal of the license is withdrawn or your current license is revoked or suspended by the registrar, your current license will remain in force until it is renewed, or if it is not renewed, until the decision not to renew takes effect. As shown in the slide, the red line indicates the submission of the renewal application. The current license is expired before the renewal license is granted. The period as indicated in the red box here is the period between the expiry date of current license and the date of the grant of renewal license. So during this period, the current license remains in force. Let's look at another diagram. If the licensee fails to submit the renewal application at least 60 days before the license expires, well, I regret to say that you have missed to submit the license renewal application. Even you submit the application to us, the application will not be accepted and processed. Besides, there will be no refund for the application 3. However, you may apply for a new TCSP license if you still wish to carry on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong after your current license expires. The registry will process your application for a new TCSP license, and a new license will be granted to you if your application is successful. The new TCSP license will bear a new license number. As shown in the slide, the red box indicates that the current TCSP license has expired. Before a new license is granted, you must cease carrying on your trust or company service business before the new license is granted. Otherwise, you will commit an offense of carrying on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong without a license and are liable on conviction to a fine of $100,000 and imprisonment for 6 months. To make an application for approval to become an ultimate owner or a partner or a director of a TCSP licensee, you are required to submit Form TCSP 3, Form TCSP 4 or 5 for each of non-exempted person, and relevant supporting documents, such as the Hong Kong ID card copy. You may submit the forms to us through the e-channel, in person, or by post. Here are some questions for your attention. Our company would like to appoint a director who is subject to the fit and proper test. What form should we file? Well, the first step is you need to submit the Form TCSP 3 to apply for approval for the proposed person to become a director. After the approval is given, you need to make arrangement for the approved person to become a director. After the appointment is made, you may then submit a Form ND2A to the company's registry within 15 days and a Form TCSP 6 to TCSP registry within 1 month. Some more questions here. I have passed the fit and proper test before becoming a director of licensee A. Do I need to apply for approval again before I can be appointed to be a director of licensee B? The answer is yes. I have passed the fit and proper test before becoming a director of licensee A. Do I need to apply for approval before I can be added to be an ultimate owner of licensee A? The answer is yes. Our company would like to allot transfer shares. Do we need to submit any form to the TCSP registry? Well, if the allotment transfer of shares will result in addition of an ultimate owner, prior approval is required before such arrangement can be made. Regarding the notification of change in particulars, you are required to notify us within 1 month beginning on the days on which a change takes place. You may submit the Form TCSP 6 together with relevant supporting documents to us through e-channel, in person, or by post. Types of changes within the TCSP licensee must notify the Registrar of Companies. They include changes in particulars of licensee, for example, the licensee's business name, business address, business email address, business telephone number, etc. Changes of the licensee's ultimate owner or partner or director or compliance officer or money laundering reporting officer. Changes in particulars of the licensee's ultimate owner, partners, director, compliance officer, money laundering reporting officer. And changes in the fit and proper status of persons who have undergone the fit and proper test. For example, if you are no longer an accounting professional, you're required to report to us about the changes. Here are some questions to share with you. Our company has recently filed a Form ND2A with the company's registry for change of company secretary. Do we need to notify the TCSP registry of the change as well? The answer is no. Change of company secretary is not required to be reported to the TCSP registry. Our company has just changed its business address. We are about to renew our license. Can we report the new business address on the Form TCSP2 without filing the Form TCSP 6 with the TCSP registry? The answer is no. Your company must submit a Form TCSP 6 to report the change of business address within 1 month after the change takes place. Our company has notified the TCSP registry of the change of company name and business address. Will our company receive a new license showing the new company name and business address? The answer is no. But the new company name and business address will be updated and shown in the register of TCSP licensees for public inspection. Quite often, a TCSP licensee thought that they have already filed notifications to report changes as required under the company's ordinance and regard such filing has fulfilled the requirement under the MNO as well. Such concept is incorrect, and we would like to remind the licensees that they should comply with both ordinances and should file different notifications to the company's registry and the TCSP registry respectively. Here are one more question. Our company has filed a Form ND2B with the company's registry to report the change of passport number of one of our directors. Do we need to submit a Form TCSP 6 to report the same change? The answer is yes. Your company has to file both Form ND2B and TCSP 6 to comply with the requirements of Companies Ordinance Chapter 622 and the MNO. If the licensee fails to comply with the filing requirements under the MNO, it will be liable to prosecution and subject to disciplinary actions taken by the registrar. Regarding the notification of cessation of TCSP business, you are required to file the TCSP 7 and before the intended date of cessation. The Form TCSP 7, together with the authorization letter, you may submit them through the e-channel, in person, or by post. Here are some questions to share with you. Our company is going to apply for deregistration. Do we need to inform the TCSP registry? Yes. Your company should submit a Form TCSP 7 to notify the registrar of your intention to cease business and the intended dates of cessation. Our company has submitted a Form TCSP 7 to the TCSP registry. We will receive any notification. The answer is yes. A notification will be sent to you informing that the registrar has cancelled or will cancel your license with effect from the intended dates of cessation, and you are required to cease all your trust or company service business upon cessation of your license. Upon receiving the TCSP license, the registrar also imposes 3 conditions on the license, which we find that some of the licensees may not be aware. Condition 1, the licensee should appoint a compliance officer and a money laundering reporting officer during the term of the license and should ensure that a new compliance officer or money laundering reporting officer, as the case may be, is appointed within 7 days where a vacancy occurs in the 2 posts. Condition 2, the licensee should put in place adequate and proper anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing policies, procedures, and controls as evidenced by policy statements or other written documents. Condition 3, the licensee should provide information relating to his business during the term of the license, as may be required by the registrar of companies, and such information should be provided within such time as the registrar of companies may specify. The registrar may take disciplinary action against the licensee who fails to comply with any one of the licensing conditions. Now we are on the topic of enforcement of the licensing regime. As a regulator, we must establish an enforcement system to ensure that TCSP licensees do comply with those AML requirements and licensing requirements. We would outreach to TCSP business address to conduct site inspection of TCSP licensees. During inspection, we would interview relevant persons and inspect records and documents of TCSP licensees. We also invite relevant persons of licensees or applicants to come to our Kowloon Bay office for an interview. We also examine various documents submitted by TCSP licensees, and we also consider intelligence provided to us by other law enforcement agencies, and also conduct online investigation to ensure that the TCSP licensees fully comply with the MNO and licensing requirements. What if any person or licensee fails to comply with the MNO requirements or licensing conditions? Well, depending on the nature and seriousness of the contravention or the non-compliance, there are a full range of sanctions available for the registrar who can apply in respect of the nature and seriousness of the contravention. For minor contravention, she may issue advisory or warning letter. In case the licensee have contravened the MNO and the licensing conditions, the registrar may consider to take disciplinary action, including public reprimand the licensees, order the licensees to take remedial action to remedy the non-compliance, or even impose a pecuniary penalty of not existing $500,000. If the registrar considers the licensee's relevant person no longer fit and proper to carrying on or associate with TCSP business, she may consider to suspend or revoke the license. If any person has committed serious offense under the MNO, we will take appropriate action to prosecute. On our website, we have an enforcement page. It will show some of the highlights of our prosecution cases. You will view the nature of offense and the judgment, and some highlights on the disciplinary cases. You may view the contravention and the disciplinary action taken. Here, I would like to share some highlights on key updates in 2022, this year. On the 24th of June, Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing Amendment Bill 2022 was gazetted. The amendment is to enhance Hong Kong's regulatory regime for combating money laundering and terrorist financing. Some of you may have already noted the relevant amendments. TCSP Registry is going to revise the AML-CTF guideline. Later, we will conduct a sector consultation to connect TCSP licensees' views on the amendments. In this regard, more details will be announced later. On the 8th of July, Hong Kong's Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Risk Assessment Report was published. The money laundering risk level of the TCSP sector is assessed to be medium, after taking into account of the ML threats and vulnerability levels of the sector. The report also mentioned that services provided by TCSPs, such as the selling of shell companies and the setting up of front companies with the opening of bank accounts, may be misused for ML purposes, such as handling crime process being transferred within, into, or away from Hong Kong. We encourage TCSP licensees to read the report and pay attention to the money laundering threats and the money laundering vulnerabilities in the TCSP sector. You may find the assessment report in our website under the thematic page of the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing. On the 1st of October, some of our guidelines, FAQs, information pamphlets, and forms were updated due to the commencement of the Financial Reporting Council Amendments Audience 2021. Well, for example, they have updated the definition of an accounting professional. That's why we have updated some of our publications. On the 7th of November, all TCSP licensees are required to complete the Form SIS2 and return the same to the TCSP registry by mail or by post by the 7th of December, that is yesterday. This is to facilitate our understanding on the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing measures taken by TCSP licensees and to know more about the business information of TCSP licensees. The registrar has exercised the power conferred by Condition 3 to connect information related to your business as at 31st of December 2021. So if you have not yet completed SIS2 and returned to us, please do so at once. Lastly, most of the information that I present can be found in our TCSP website. Please visit and explore more. You may conduct search on the Register of TCSP licensees for free. We have guidelines and external circulars, information pamphlets, FAQs, step-to-step demonstration videos, what's news. To keep you the latest information, we provide the thematic page related to the AML-CTF information. And I just mentioned the enforcement page that you can view the prosecution cases and the cases that we took disciplinary action against the licensees. You may also find today's presentation files under the publications and presentation page. Okay, that's my sharing with you today. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.